Hello there, in this episode, we're going to talk about the greatest predictor of success. What is it that can predict whether you achieve something or not over the long term? What is it that can predict how well you're going to do in your health, how well you're going to do in your wealth creation, how well you're going to do in your fulfillment in life, how well you're going to do in all areas of your life that you pay attention to? What's that predictor? And then more importantly, how do we develop it? That's what we're going to talk about in this episode. Welcome to episode 14 of the Accelerated Achievement Show. Welcome to episode 14. Super excited to share this stuff with you. What is this greatest predictor of our success based on study? Not based on theory, but based on actual studies that research have done. Because what it shows us now, and by the way, make sure that you like this, comment this, share this with other people if you enjoy this episode while you're watching this. But what is it? What is the greatest predictor of success in our health, in our wealth, in our love, and in our fulfillment? And I'm here to tell you, as much as all these things are important, it's not charisma, it's not how good looking you are, it's not whether you have great leadership ability. All these things, they're all important, but the one greatest predictor that science has now shown us is, science and psychology and neuroscience has now shown us, this is the most accurate predictor of whether someone will go and achieve the goal they want or not, is self-control. Now, I know that may piss a lot of people off because it doesn't exactly go with their live in the moment, YOLO type of philosophy on life, but if you go and observe people, it's very accurate that self-control, our ability to delay gratification in the instance, as in not reach out for that cookie or not go and watch that second movie or go and binge watch that next season on Netflix, not do that and instead focus ourselves back on what are our long-term ambitions. In the long term, 10, 15 years, what do we want? And refocus back on that. Self-control, this ability to take what we want or resist the temptations in the instance and focus on what we really want. Now, how do we develop it? How do we develop our self-control? Because based on what now neuroscience, a lot of willpower studies, if you go and read it, talks about this, and it talks about how if you can get someone who has high self-control, meaning their ability to stop themselves, to resist temptation, hence the people again that often do well in their health also do well in their business, because that self-control translates across all areas of their life. But how do we develop it? How do we develop our ability to resist temptation? How do we stop ourselves when it's late at night flicking channels on TV or scrolling through Facebook endlessly? How do we control ourselves? Not control, that's a very negative word when it comes to this area, but how do we get ourselves to go and act based on what we really want compared to what's driving us in the instance, taking away those temptation? And it comes with, first again, this is a trainable skill. Self-control is something that you can train, and it stems out of something called willpower, which is something I talk a lot about. I coach my coaching clients on, I share all around the world. This area of willpower, it comes up in discussions for me all the time because it's something I'm obsessed with. Willpower, meaning what is it that controls our motivation essentially? How is it that some people can, go and run a marathon while other people, they quit after the first 2 kilometers? And a lot of times it's not even the physical fitness, that's important, but they have a different mindset around getting themselves to push through pain, push through the things that they don't want to in the short term. When they're sweating, how they push through that. So how do you develop it? First is understanding willpower, understanding that every day we wake up, and most people, they're far more effective, far more motivated, have far more self-control in the morning than they do in the evening. This is natural. This is how science has shown us how it works, how willpower works. Meaning you wake up in the morning, you're motivated. Towards the end of the day, some people, they're laying on the couch flicking through channels on TV. They're not motivated. They're not pursuing their long-term ambitions. Aha! But no, they're going and falling back into their short-term temptations. And we have to step up collectively into greater long-term thinking, because that's what creates long-term results. When you look at what creates successful friendships and relationships, what creates successful businesses, what creates successful health, it's not quick fixes, it's not short-term stuff. All of those things aren't instant gratification. They're long effort. They're long-term thinking stuff. You want to create true success in those areas, in all of those areas. Hence, how do you develop it? So firstly, understand that willpower is something that you can train. You can train yourself to be self-controlled, meaning any time that you actually physically put yourself into a state where you can resist temptation or not, and you follow through, meaning it's almost like training a muscle, meaning when you go in and you're actually training, you're fighting your mind, you have this internal battle between yourself, between reaching for that cookie or sticking with your diet. Every time you go through that and you succeed, that muscle becomes stronger. And every time you're training that, continuously training that. And when you train that, your muscle becomes slightly stronger. Then you do that over and over again, you train it, just like a muscle. So your willpower, your ability to control yourself and think long-term over short-term, something that you can control, and it's something that you can train through actually putting yourself in that moment of conflict. There was a study showing that by getting people simply to put a jar of chocolate biscuit or chocolate snacks in front of them every time, and every time they walk through it, past it in their house, and they look at it and they don't reach one, their self-control goes up a little bit. And when you do that repeatedly, when you repeatedly resist the temptations around you, temptations of your environment, that's when you get stronger. So that's a simple hack that science has shown us. If you put a cookie jar and you constantly, every time you look at it and you resist it, saying, no, this isn't what I want, this doesn't follow my long-term ambition, my long-term goals, and you resist that, your self-control goes up a little bit, your willpower goes up a little bit, your ability to sustain motivation goes up a little bit, because there's a lot of people that are tremendously self-disciplined, self-controlled, self-disciplined. A lot of people that they're motivated maybe for a few minutes, then it just disappears. The smallest thing gets them off their game, off their peak performance, and they lose that. And again, it's back to this training, because that pressure exposes any weaknesses in this willpower. So it's about training that repeatedly, training that willpower repeatedly. Hence, simple things like that. How can you train yourself to push through pain? It's a mindset. It's something that you can shift. It's something that you can change. So putting yourself, setting up challenges for yourself to be able to push through and train your willpower, develop your willpower. Go and revolutionize your health. Go to the gym, and when you feel like, hey, that's enough, let me go hit the showers, get yourself to do 5 more minutes. And you're resisting that temptation. You're switching yourself from short-term thinking, which is the survival instinct, to long-term thinking, which is what really creates success in all areas of our life. Great relationships, great friendships, great businesses, common sense. It's what we all know. But we need to step up, or collectively step up into greater beingness of the stuff that we know. Not simply knowing it, but how do we step up and be it? And again, this may piss a lot of people off, because frankly, it doesn't live with their, hey, it's all about living in the moment, YOLO, every second counts, live in the present. But it's a balance between the two. I'm not saying you have to resist all short-term temptations that you have, that you can never eat a chocolate bar ever again, but being selective with it. What areas of your life do you want to be selective with? And then again, if you go and you're at the gym and you stay for 5 minutes longer after your mind has told you to quit, after your mind has told you, hey, that sauna looks great, after your mind has told you to quit, and you stay for 5 minutes longer, firstly, you're training your body, which means you're getting physically fitter, but you're training your mind, you're training your self-control, you're training your self-discipline to be fitter. It's a compounding effect, and it's 2 things that you're training at the same time. But getting yourself, and keep this at your awareness, consciously thinking about this. Think of it, almost picture it like a muscle that you have in your brain that you can train. Train that self-control, resist temptation, small little things, constantly training it, just like you would go to the gym and work out. Work out your self-discipline, work out your self-control, because again, it's the greatest predictor based on what we know about science. It's in science and in psychology, neuroscience, high performance studies. It's the most accurate predictor of whether someone will follow through on a goal or quit. Whether someone will go and continue that diet and lose the weight that they want to lose or not. Whether some person will achieve the goal that they want in their health, in their wealth, in their love, in their fulfillment in life or not. is this area of self-control, getting yourself stepping past instant gratification, stepping past Facebook notifications into longer term thinking. What do you want in the long term? And focusing back on that, training yourself to get back into that instead of tiring out throughout the day and losing this momentum during the day. So I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Accelerate Achievement Show. Again, make sure you like this, make sure you share this down below. There'll be buttons. Share it out to people if you think that other people will get some value out of being able to develop their self-discipline, their self-control to achieve things. If you know someone who has goals and this would help them out, share this below, like this, comment below with your biggest takeaway. What did you learn from this? Maybe you didn't learn anything, but I hope if you're watching this, there may be a few distinctions that you got. Maybe about willpower, how it drains during the day. Maybe about how when we make decisions, it gets rid of that decision-making power that we have. Maybe about this whole area of self-control. Maybe you didn't know that was a great factor in it. Maybe you thought that living in the moment is the way to achieve long-term success. Whatever your lesson is, comment it down below. Like this, share this out to other people. I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Accelerate Achievement Show. Stay tuned for more episodes. Comment down below. Stay tuned for more episodes talking about strategies to help you accelerate your achievement.
Achievement accelerated with the Accelerated Achievement Show.